Hey everyone, welcome back to the Creative Marketing Show. Ange here. I am super excited for today's interview. It's actually not even really an interview, it's more of a great conversation with my good friend Janic Gorayeb. And she is from Ripple Effect Leadership. And that's what we're going to really hone in on today's episode of being a leader, not just in your industry, but in your small business, building confidence to take control, accountability, and motivation to confidently say you're the leader of your business. I know that leadership can be a really misconstrued word, especially in the entrepreneurial lens. You know, it's a hierarchy, it's typically what we think about it. But Janic is so fantastic at breaking down why it's important, laying a solid foundation, and having that confidence to lead in your own business. So she is the founder of Ripple Effect Leadership, and its mission is to provide entrepreneurs and organizations creatively design programs to help them build collaborative and kick-ass teams to rock their purpose and grow their business from the inside out. You are not going to want to miss this. She's absolutely lovely, and she makes training accessible to all entrepreneurs, emerging leaders, so they can realize their full potential as a boss person, regardless of the experience that they hold. I'm so excited to welcome you to the show and introduce you to Janic. Hey, and welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. I'm your host, Angela S. Joyon. This is the podcast for ambitious women in business looking to cut the BS, stop dancing for likes, and learn to create honest and genuine marketing strategies that don't cause burnout and overwhelm. Have a question about content creation, social media, or maybe you're looking for more clarity on how to take your business to the next level. This is the show that brings the answers to your questions each and every week. So hi, Janic. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I just love chatting with you. With the Creative Marketing membership, you've joined the membership, but it's been amazing because we've gotten to connect even more. And that's what I love about a platform and a community where you presented last week for all the members of everything you do best. We talked a lot about your mission and your values. And even for myself, that was such a learning. So jumping into this topic today, all about leadership, is super exciting because I know for myself, we could use the word imposter syndrome or that ownership of like being the boss and being the leader of your own business. I think sometimes it can get in people's head like we play small sometimes.
Yes.
And I know you're such a great advocate and proponent of that leadership and owning what you do in your business and your gifts and what you can offer to the world. And so we haven't talked about this on the podcast. So you're like the perfect person to bring in and chat about this. But before we do, can you give us a little introduction of yourself, who you are, not just on the business side? What do you love? What do you love about running your business? What do you like to do for fun? All that.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, sounds good. I started my business, Ripple Effect Leadership, probably back in, I want to say like 2017 was the official year that I got my business license, right? But I would say the first 2 years, I don't know what the hell I was doing. And I was
relatable.
I was really focused at that time working with organizations. I love building workshops. I love building programs for organizations. And so at that time, I was offering in-person workshops on around like team building, helping organizations figure out their core values and their mission and vision as well. A little bit of strategic planning here and there. And then the pandemic hit, and like everybody else, I pivoted, right?
Yep.
And started offering some of those workshops online to organizations, but I just felt like I was missing something with my business.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, I taught myself how to build a website because my original website actually was very corporate feeling.
Okay.
That was one of the reasons why I was having a hard time connecting with my business and not really knowing what I wanted to do, is because
Did you still have that corporate hat on?
Kind of had that corporate hat on, but also I thought as a leadership consultant, that's how it should be.
Right.
Because I was comparing myself to other leadership consultants, and locally here, there's a few here in London, Ontario. So when I would meet people and tell them what I would do, they're like, "Oh, like so-and-so." I'm like, "No, not really." So I was really stuck in my head. So anyway, at the beginning of the pandemic, I pivoted. I started kind of really building in that creative part of my business and realizing I want to build that type of, I guess, messaging to people around leadership, that it's not only hierarchy, it's not only about being the top of an organization, it's also about how we lead ourselves, self-leadership, personal leadership, modeling the way, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I moved through the pandemic, taught myself a whole bunch of new skills. And then I would say I pivoted again in the last 8 months and really, really starting to focus my energies on helping entrepreneurs, because the more solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that I'm talking to lately, when I talk about leadership, a lot of people kind of shy away from that word. It's a big word, right? And I
Yeah.
think just we've been ingrained, to think, oh, there's only certain people who can consider themselves as leaders. But I mean, we're all doing it. We're all building our businesses, and we are the
Absolutely.
leaders of our biz. And so I really want to help entrepreneurs shift their mindset with that. And so that's what I've been focusing on. I'm still offering those workshops for organizations. To be honest, that's been helping financially and with my
Right.
budgets, because they're great
Right.
little
Girls
contracts.
got to eat.
Girls got to eat. Girls got to eat. Girls got to go to Trader Joe's too in the US.
Right.
But I think that just helping entrepreneurs really build that confidence and build that capacity for themselves, I think is super, super important. And is really the foundation of building a business, is leading ourselves. Obviously, marketing, super important.
Yeah.
You're teaching us that. Automation, systems, all those things are super important for those of us who are building an online business, especially.
Yeah.
But if we're not leading ourselves to get that shit done.
Yeah. I feel
Right.
like what you're talking about and what you teach, to me, like what I'm hearing, that's the foundation. In
Yeah.
order to grow on solid ground and to be able to build a business, you might have a great idea. And I feel like, side note, like out of the pandemic, I think we saw a lot of more people pivoting, certainly in
Yes.
the digital space, or
Yeah.
even realizing I need to take a little bit more ownership in my business, or starting new businesses. Like so many
Mhm.
beautiful businesses were birthed out of the pandemic, probably out of necessity, of like scarcity and like, well, I got to take more control in this. So
Exactly.
I love what you're sharing. And this is such a great episode for our listeners, because, foundationally, if it's, and it was the same thing like your presentation last week, like understanding your mission, your values, and what the core of what you're building on. If there's cracks in that, that's going to be that resistance. And over time, kind of flailing and like trying to piece it all together. So I love that. This to me sounds like owning and the confidence and building it in a way that has a solid ground,
Yeah.
and then bringing in all the marketing, the systems, the automations, but without that solid ground, it's going to be a rocky
Exactly.
road.
Exactly. And to your point of a lot of people shifting to building their own businesses, I think that people are doing it for different reasons. One, people are just tired of the corporate world
Yeah.
and, going into the office 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, maybe. Some people just are passionate about building their own thing. And that's where I landed. And I was actually working full time for the last 5 years while building Ripple Effect. And it was really hard. It was really, really hard to do, just kind of even less than part-time. It was like when I had the energy and the time to do it. And now officially, as of this past June, I'm now doing Ripple Effect Leadership full time, which I'm super excited
It's
about.
so amazing.
And it's scary and I'm feeling all the feels, but you know what? I built that foundation the last few years to help me take that leap. And that's what I want to help other entrepreneurs do. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who are still working full time and maybe can't take the leap financially either, right? So, and
It's
that was,
scary.
it's scary. And
Yeah.
that's what held me back for quite a long time was, money, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a really nice segue. Because I think maybe we start there,
Mm-hmm.
because you've experienced that. You are now with Ripple Effect Leadership full time, but you went through that whole fit it in when you can, trying to build
Yeah.
this business. Can you offer maybe, one or two pieces of advice or things that worked and maybe didn't work? So for anyone who's like, I'm too scared to like let go of the full time. What if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
Like in your experience, what can you lend to that entrepreneur who's like craving a little bit more freedom and own leadership in their business and in their
Mm-hmm.
life? What's something you could share that really helped you break out of that and go for it?
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I
I
think
love that you said, like, sorry, but
no, it's
the
okay.
whole money thing, like, we can't skirt around it because it's so true. We have to
Yeah.
feed ourselves. We have to pay our bills. It's a
Yeah.
reality. I'm
Yeah.
so sick of the like, oh, if you just do it and you manifest, like, I love the
No.
woo. I'm a good woo, but at some point, like we have to be responsible. And like I don't like the whole bullshit advice where people are like, well, yeah, but if you take out a loan or just put on your credit card, you're going to make that back or you're going to get it back tenfold. Like we have to be like honest and realistic. And that's why I love that you're here, because you're not full of that shit.
Yeah, exactly. It takes time. And believe me, I'm still building. I'm still
Right.
building. Right. And I think that what helped me was once, as I said before, building that foundation, the mission, vision, and core values. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs forget that that's an important piece of building, of having in your business, because it's really, they're used as a compass, right? To help you make decisions, make difficult decisions, to help you hire the right people when you're ready, and helping with social media marketing, all that kind of stuff, right? But I think that layering your
Layering.
layering your skills bit by bit is super important, and that's what I did over time, right? Like I focused on building my website and learning how to edit it myself because I couldn't afford somebody to do it.
I love scrappy entrepreneurs. I'm all
Right.
for it.
I mean, I did invest in courses to help me do that because I'm a visual person. So I need to like see somebody do it and then I go in and edit it. Right. I also taught myself how to build an online course. Right. And so I took the time to do that while I was working full time because I knew that when I was ready to kind of hit the ground running, those are going to be important pieces for me in my
Right.
business. It might be different for somebody else. Right. But I think that really just building on your skills one by one really helps to take that leap when you are ready. And
I think
everybody's
that that's something where when people jump in, and I know I've been there before when I first
yeah,
started, like it was that feeling of having to have everything ready and in place and then go, okay, it's ready. And now I can go live and let everybody know. Where instead of
exactly.
like doing it as like building blocks, one thing at a time, because I hear that all the time. That's the overwhelm. Well, I need
Yeah,
to have this in place, this in place, this in place. It's like, oh, be scrappy,
yeah,
girl. Just get
yeah,
one thing at a time and then the next. We don't have to, and
yeah,
that's still a lesson I have to still remind myself, like one thing at a time
yeah.
or
And
it's overwhelmed.
we have to be gentle on ourselves, right? And I'll be transparent. The leap that I made this year was a forced leap. After 15
Right.
years of service with an organization,
Yeah.
I got let go.
Yeah.
That's that, right? And so I had to make the decision at that point, okay, is this it? Am I going to
Right.
jump in 2 feet? And I did. And I'm so glad that I did
And
because it
so
was,
amazing. You said you kind of started this 2017. So you had these like foundation and
mhm,
building blocks in place, which I want to touch on that just very briefly for anyone
yeah,
listening. If you have this vision or this dream for yourself, we're not saying go quit your job and just follow your dreams. That's
yeah,
a that's a Hallmark card that's full of shit.
yeah, exactly.
Right? But if you
Exactly.
have this vision and dreams, start doing the little things behind the scenes
Mhm,
when you have the time. Maybe
yeah,
it's an evening, maybe a little bit of time on the weekend. And
yeah,
over time, like I think that's such a great example of, I mean, coming into this forced situation,
yeah,
you're like, well, I have something in place. Like you're
yeah,
not starting from zero. And I think
exactly.
that that's really valuable
I think I would have been freaking out a lot more if I
for
didn't have
sure.
all that stuff built, right?
Yeah.
And so really,
That's
I
where
was
you probably would have been like, okay, I need a website, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need like, yeah,
exactly, exactly. And so when I did that big pivot at the beginning of the pandemic and like learning all these new skills and really zoning in on my niche and the people that I wanted to help, that did help me. I know as a marketing person, you as well probably encourage people to find your niche, find your niche. I had a hard time figuring out what my niche
girl,
was.
I
And
still have a hard time finding my niche
yeah,
because
and
I'm
because
multi-passionate.
right. And because I offer services for organizations and entrepreneurs now, then I was like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
how am I gonna, I don't know, market that? And so now I'm just focusing, and this is what's been working for me right now. LinkedIn, I focus on organizations and I focus
Mhm.
on team building and workshops and that sort of thing and leadership in general. Whereas my Instagram and my Pinterest is really focused on entrepreneurs and helping them. And that seems to be working right now. Who knows? Talk
Yep.
to me in 6 months. I might be shifting into something else,
But
right?
it's interesting, like even narrowing it down to the two, and certainly like I am the queen of pivot, I'm the queen of squirrel. I love so many things, but it is true. Like I find when you can try to really hone in on that niche, one thing that I've noticed the more I've leaned into one really being more defined, and it is a struggle. I'm not going to say like, oh, define your needs and it's like so perfect and easy.
Yeah.
It's not,
Right.
especially when you're like, but I love all these things. But I
Yeah.
will say, like, for myself, it's interesting where you can narrow down. I still get people asking me for help in other areas that I've never even talked about. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, I'm like, actually, yes, I can help you with that. I've done it.
Yeah.
It's funny I don't promote it, but you clearly see something, and so it's never going to really eliminate
Hmm.
those opportunities. So I think that that's helpful to let like everyone listening know. Like, I know it's hard to niche down, but when you can, that doesn't mean you're eliminating the other things that you love to do.
Exactly.
And usually, that's just kind of the natural flow of it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I just want to add as well, like when I was working full time, I had the opportunity for the last few years of working for the organization that I had Fridays off to focus on my business. It
Oh,
was
that's
something
amazing.
that I built in with my manager years ago. They allowed me to work
Yeah, good for you.
hours earlier in the week so that I could focus on my business on Fridays, which was I was really grateful for,
Yeah.
which was really helpful. And not everybody will have that opportunity. I get that. But if you can carve out 1 or 2 days a week or 1 or 2 evenings a week where you're just really focused on your business, like I was actually batching social media on Sundays. One of my favorite things to do is to watch my favorite YouTubers, tiny house living, van conversions. That kind
Oh, I
of
love that stuff.
I fell down those rabbit holes early on in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, but that was just what I did. And on Sundays, make my cup of tea or my latte, and I would have them on in the background. I would just batch my social media for the week. And it's funny, I've having a hard time getting out of that habit, even
Oh,
though
how
I can
funny.
go batch social media anytime because I'm officially my own boss now,
Right. But that's
right?
still kind of ingrained
It's
in you, right?
just, and I'm like, you know what, it's fine,
Yeah.
and it is what it is. And I might shift that again at some point, but it's nice to have that flexibility now. And I'm really, it feels good. It
I'm
feels good.
so, yeah, it is. It's nice to, again, that's that, well, back to leadership. Like, that's, you put yourself in a position
Mm.
where you get to decide what
Yeah.
that schedule looks like.
Yeah.
So when you think of, like, I know we've kind of touched a little bit on this, but when we think of leadership, is it, what was the word I was thinking of when you were talking about it? It kind of ties into ownership,
Mm-hmm. Accountability.
confidence,
Yeah.
accountability. That's exactly it. Of like, so yeah, I think you're right. What you had said earlier, when we think leadership, we think of it as like a hierarchy,
Yeah.
where really, when it comes to confidence and accountability in what you have to offer,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to someone who is maybe hesitant to be like, I'm not a leader? Actually, the word that had come to mind, which don't misconstrue it with maybe how it's been used,
Sure.
but influence. Because I
Okay.
feel like what if you
Yeah.
have influence? So to me, like if you have a website, if you offer a service, if you're sharing on social media, at some point you're influencing. You're
Mm-hmm.
bringing your zone of genius, your opinion, your results, your story, and that's going to have influence. I guess also impact is probably
Mm-hmm.
a better word because the word influence can be misconstrued, I
Sure.
think, these days.
Sure.
So what would you say to someone who's kind of hesitant or maybe lacks that confidence to really stand in and be like, yeah, I'm the leader of my business? What kind of steps, maybe it's just like more the confidence building to get them there? Do you have any
Yeah.
advice on that, of like when they're kind of feeling like I'm not that, we kind of play small, like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I just have my little like business and I do like, is there anything you can lend to that to feel maybe it's a statement or an exercise or just something that you've experienced to really step into that so that
Yeah.
there's that confidence of feeling more like a leader in their own business?
I think it's practice, first of all. I just think it's just not natural for a lot of us to feel that way. I mean, looking back at my career, I never had any official traditional leadership titles
Right.
in my roles, but I used to lead national conferences, national events. I worked with neurosurgeons, pathology, like all these different healthcare professionals across the country. I used to lead teams in different ways and committees. And so I think that once I shifted my own mindset, I'm like, yeah, like I am a leader. I was a leader. It doesn't matter that I didn't have the traditional leadership titles like director, executive director, CEO, manager.
Right.
For that, I'm sorry. I've worked with plenty of people who've had those titles who are sure as hell not leading themselves and not leading people very well
Right.
and nicely, you
Yeah.
know? And so I just really want to encourage entrepreneurs to really just keep practicing that mindset. And that's all it is. It's just shifting our mindset, right?
Yeah.
And leading ourselves means leading our calendars, leading our managing our inboxes, it's following through with our goals for our business, right? Short-term and long-term goals, and really mapping that stuff out. And also knowing when to hire somebody to help you, right?
Yeah.
And hiring doesn't necessarily mean a full-time person. It could be somebody on contract. I have an amazing person I work with who lives in St. Lucia, and she helps me write my blogs, right? And so she's on contract with me. I consider her part of my team. I
Yeah.
consider being part of the creative marketing membership you as part of my team, because, but seriously, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're
No, I
helping me
totally
kind of,
get that.
and I'm part of other groups as well, and I consider them part of my team as well. So I think that when people think, oh, I have to hire the right people because I can't do XYZ, or because I can't lead myself very well in those areas, it's okay. When you're ready to hire the right person, I think that also shows leadership as well, right? Be like, okay, I'm either avoiding certain tasks, or I'm, not good at certain skills. And I'm like, I don't want, although I've taught myself all these other skills, I don't necessarily want to be good at Facebook ads.
Right.
I hate them.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially
Um,
solopreneurs. Like when we look at the
yeah,
landscape of social media, ads, website, copy, blogs,
overwhelming.
automations, systems, like we're not supposed to know all of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not, no one's expecting you to. I think we fall into that because one, money, time, or maybe again, that lack of confidence to like, I don't even know what I'm asking for to hire out. So I love that you segued into that in terms of bringing on extra support. Because what I'm hearing, again, going back to that groundwork and having that foundation, when you have that confidence of being like, okay, I am the leader of my business, if you're not in that place of like really having that accountability and that ownership, that if you're going to outsource, if you don't have the confidence into say like, this is what I need, and this is like, these are the gaps I need to fill,
Yeah,
that's going to make it a lot harder. Would you say that
exactly.
makes sense?
100%, 100%. And it's really important to plan when you are thinking of hiring somebody, even if it is just on contract. I think listing out, and I actually have a free resource for online
Oh,
business
awesome.
owners on how to build a kick-ass team. It's kind of my tagline, kick-ass leadership, and for those times, just back to your question before, like what can entrepreneurs do to kind of build that confidence? Just come up with your own mantra, right? Like, I am a kick-ass leader,
Yeah.
not I want to be. No, I am a kick-ass leader,
Yeah.
because I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I'm moving through and pushing through with my business, right?
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to hiring people on contract, part-time, full-time, whatever the case may be, is just really planning ahead. And my free resource actually goes through different questions. I'm just going to read them out here because I've got the
Yeah,
list.
please. I love it.
But just certain questions to think about is like, do I know which jobs I need to hire for? Where are the most pressing recruiting needs, right? What is my budget? How many hours will each project or job take for a new team member or somebody I hire on contract? How do these projects contribute to my business goals, my short and long-term goals, strategic planning, all that kind of stuff, right? And so I think answering those questions is a good starting point for
Yeah.
people to realize and really list out like, what are all the tasks that you do, or
Yep.
what are all the things that you need help with, and then grading them from like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And the ones that are like, oh my God, like I need help with these things, just pick one or two, just pick one and just
Yeah.
start there. And you're just building layer by layer,
Yeah.
okay, over time. And it might take a few years, but that's okay. Like, just be patient with yourself and be gentle with yourself. And
Where
people
are
will get
some
there.
good spots for people to look for outsourcing? Like in your experience, where would you say if someone's like, well, where do I find these people? Do you have any recommendations on that?
For me, it's been Instagram
Yeah.
mostly. Yeah.
Which
Like I
is
found,
so amazing, right? Like,
yeah,
especially for us, like we're, digital entrepreneurs. And it's like,
yeah,
that's where a lot of people, I get a DM like, hey, could you help me? I'm like, yeah, I
yeah.
love that. That's so interesting. Yeah. I love that you said that.
Yeah. Like when I was looking for a blog content writer, my core values are creativity, fun, collaboration, and productivity.
Yeah.
And so I went on Instagram and I literally just typed in content writer. And I was just looking at a whole bunch of Instagram accounts, and I came across Jamie Lee's, and I checked out her website and I saw words like fun, funky, and creative. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk to her. Right. And that's what I did. And it wasn't a interview. It was just like, hey, can we chat? And, we got on Zoom and we shot the shit and realized it was a really great match. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, can I hire you? She's like, yeah. And we've been working together now for over a year and a half.
That's
So,
amazing.
like, I found your group through Instagram. Well, Alexandra also,
Yeah.
mutual friend,
Yeah.
connected us, but some other groups that I'm part of, it's been Instagram for me personally.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot. LinkedIn, of course, for
Yeah.
sure. People, depending on the type of business that you're building, is a
Right.
good spot to check to look for people.
I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic. And I appreciate you sharing that because we forget sometimes, like, really, again, back to that influence and that impact we have when we're showing up consistently with our offers and having that visibility that you never know. Again, even just like the strategy part of using the right keywords. So if you're writing in like content writer, that's gonna really hone in on like what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So that's just like an extra nice little tip. But I love that this feels so full circle because of the presentation you did inside of the Creative Marketing Membership last week of building out, really understanding your values, your vision, your mission. Because when you're about to onboard someone into your organization, even if it's just an organization of one, that's
Yep.
okay. But to be able to reflect, I think that was a big takeaway last week when we really did that exercise, was then knowing if you don't know your own mission or what you stand for in terms of your values or the vision and trajectory of where you want to go with your business, to onboard someone, they're not going to have any idea either. They're going to be just as confused. So again, back to like having that kind of blueprint for your business, no matter how big or small it is, having that in place is going to save you a ton of time and attract and onboard probably the right support, because you can clearly state, this is what I'm about. Or when
Yeah.
you're looking for someone, when you said you could see, oh, she had the word fun, like, okay,
Yeah.
we're vibing together. I love what you put together because it just makes so much sense. And I think that's just going to help people so much. Do you have a resource on that too, of like the exercise we did last week? Because I would love for you to share that. I'll put everything in the show notes too, because I thought
Yeah.
the exercise was like brilliant.
I'm going to be actually reviewing that exercise in my free challenge that I'm offering the first week of October.
Good
So,
segue, your self-leadership challenge. I love it.
yeah,
Plug
yeah. So
it.
I'm really excited for this one because I think it's my biggest challenge or my biggest launch yet. And it's going to be leading into me opening up my course.
Awesome.
So the self-leadership challenge is going to be from October 2nd to 5th.
Okay.
Going to be talking a lot about personal leadership, how to lead ourselves, going to give lots of tips to people on how to manage their inbox as well, which I think a lot of people shy away from. FYI, I helped a friend go from 33,000 emails in her inbox to hundreds in 90 minutes with my process, and it's not just all about bulk delete. It's about setting up a proper.
Oh, I love it.
So if
Are you the
anybody,
type of person in your inbox, like I have to have mine at 0 by the end of the day?
no, I'm not me personally. Do you?
I like mine is like by the end of the day, it's, I'll have some maybe I've read, but marked unread, and I'll come back to
Yeah,
it depending on the time. But I like a clean inbox. Like you will never
sure.
see more than like 10. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
oh no,
Yeah.
that gives me anxiety.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I think I really encourage people to kind of choose their own goal because I think that inbox 0 for some people in some industries is really unrealistic for some,
Totally.
right? So I'm like, no, I like to do it when I'm going on vacation for sure.
Mhm.
Like I want my inbox to be at 0 for sure. But the self-leadership challenge is also going to talk about like tips on hiring people as well, shifting your mindset about the title leader. And then I'm also going to be going through that mission and vision and core values as well. So it's going to be a 4-day challenge where I go live at 11 a.m. each day, Eastern Standard Time. And there's going to be giveaways every day. And then on the last day, there's going to be a very big giveaway and also opening up my course called Kick-Ass Leadership, which includes 6 modules, includes 2 full modules on how to hire the right people. It goes through a lot more detail around the mission and vision and core values and a lot of other fun stuff in there. So, and with that, actually, with that course, Kick-Ass Leadership, students get access to me once a month. I call it the VIP Ripple Maker sessions, where we go live on different topics that I teach people and that we, shoot the shit about.
I love it. I love shooting the shit.
So yeah, so it's like an ongoing leadership program for people. So instead of people having to spend tens of thousands of dollars for a leadership coach or mentor, it's a lot less than that.
I love it. I'm all
Yeah.
for that. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. I love the accessibility and being able to, bring people together, support their needs so that they can have growth. And that's what I love about you is it is that ripple effect. Like how can we make an impact and an influence? And then if someone's hiring, wow, then someone just got hired. And then like they're excited, they're growing their business. And I think and I will say specifically like women in business, new business, small business, to rely on this great supportive network and community of other women and making those waves
Mhm.
is pretty freaking rad.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. I love that. And the word accessibility, you said, right? Like that's what
Yeah.
I want. I want
Yep.
these leadership type programs to be accessible to entrepreneurs. And that's why I want a lot of people to shift their mindset about leader and leadership.
Yeah.
And those words, because as I said before, I know those are really, really big words for people. And there's like an assumption that comes with it.
Right.
And then speaking to the core value thing, I just want to mention how I actually chose the name Ripple Effect Leadership for my business was when I was doing my Master's of Leadership at Royal Roads University in Victoria, BC. I was doing that while working full time.
Oh my gosh.
Couple years, 2 years before I started my business. It's funny. I started that program thinking I wanted to be an executive director for a nonprofit. And halfway through the program, I was like, nope, definitely don't want to do that.
That's hilarious.
I was like, no, I want to start my business. I want to start my own business. But
Yeah.
we had to do a research project. And I decided to do a research project on living the core values of an organization. And we had to incorporate a metaphor. And so the metaphor I chose was ripple effect. And that if we're not living those core values internally, there is a negative ripple effect that ripples out to your clients and through your team and to your external stakeholders. If we are living those core values internally, then you get kick-ass teams, you get kick-ass leadership, you like going to work, you enjoy the work that you're doing, and it just makes for happier humans. I don't
I
want to be like
100%
happier.
agree. It's like not to get into like the laws of attraction, but like what you put out, and you know what? I had that same shift personally this year. I really leaned into like I swear a lot.
I do
I'm very
too. That's why I think
sarcastic,
that's why I think that's why we're connected.
right? And like I love my gifts. Like you and I connected. Anything with Schitt's Creek, you should see our DMs, people. Like we just like send back Schitt's Creek gifts. But
Yes.
like leaning into that and not feeling like I had to be as polished because I'm
Yes.
like I'm not polished. I'm really not. Like, and the more that the shit where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should say this or share this, and then I do, is usually the time where I get a DM or a message like, oh my gosh, totally agree. Love that. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. I'm like, okay. So like leaning into that honest, authentic, like human that you are individually and expressing it and like taking ownership of it and then leading that way. I
Mm.
don't know. I feel like I've been able this year has been beautiful to connect with people where I'm like, man, like we're totally on the same wavelength and it's uninhibited and very natural and not trying to be fit into every box. It's like be
Mhm.
weird. I don't know. Weird is
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
And lead with that. I say that from personal experience. It's been so much more fun. I enjoy making content. Like I enjoy stepping up to the mic. I
Yeah.
enjoy everything in the membership because I'm like, I'm just around like a bunch of cool people. This is fun.
Right. And doesn't feel like work. It
Right.
doesn't feel like work. It's your
Yeah.
passion, right? It's your
Yeah.
passion. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love all of that.
So how can our audience connect with you? Please connect with Janic because I mean, you have so many offerings that I think at any stage of your business, whether you're new, whether you're seasoned, whether you're pivoting, I think what is so fantastic, what you offer is again, just going back to those fundamentals and that core and laying the groundwork. And I want to make sure everybody gets connected with you. Where can they find you?
Thank you. So my website is rippleeffectleadership.ca. There you can find lots of free resources, including building a plan for hiring a kick-ass team. There's also a new resource around finding your entrepreneurial mojo, where I create a really fun online quiz. Nothing too technical, just some fun around it. And then I also have, if anybody facilitates workshops or meetings with people, I have 100 check-in questions list that
Oh,
people can download
cool.
free as well. So just like 100 icebreaker type questions. So those are some free resources. And then also the self-leadership challenge. You can find that on my website as well, or on my Instagram, which is also Ripple Effect Leadership. I spend most of my time on Instagram, and I'm one of those people who said, I'm never going to do reels. Well, if you need a good laugh, come check out my silly reels sometime and say hi and let's connect for sure.
I love it. And I will put everything into the show notes. Make sure you sign up for that challenge. I'm going to be signing up. I think that's going to be a really great way, especially kind of going into this last quarter of the year and putting in that work and really, laying that foundation to soar.
Exactly. And I just want to say one last thing to the entrepreneurs out there listening. It doesn't matter what your leadership experience was in the past or is. The self-leadership challenge is for any entrepreneur or solopreneur out there who just wants to lead themselves better. Really, that's all it comes down to.
I love it.
Awesome.
And when we can lead ourselves better, then that's to me the opportunity for growth.
That's a sweet spot.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I love talking with you and everything that you share. I know I keep kind of your ears are probably burning because I just keep praising you, but I love what you offer. I think it's so honest, it's so authentic, and I think it's so refreshing. Especially just the landscape has changed so much in the not just the physical business world, but especially the online business world.
Yeah.
And the more that we can, share what we have to offer to help others grow, it's magic. I love it.
Thanks, Ange. I love chatting with you too. It's always super fun. And I just love being part of your creative marketing membership too.
Okay. I'm so glad you're there. We have lots of fun over there.
Yeah, yes.
All right. Well, good luck with the challenge. Make sure you sign up, check the show notes, and connect with Janic on Instagram and visit the website again is
rippleeffectleadership.ca.
.ca. All right.